All right. So let's say we wrangle all these people together, we get them onto a meeting. I've been doing a lot of these remotely, as you might expect, for the past couple of years, and I actually really enjoy it. It's not as engaging, but it's very productive. There's some really great tools that you can use to map value streams. I use Mural, which is a online whiteboarding tool. It's very simple. You can use anything that other people can see and other people can contribute to. So as long as they can contribute in real time, the tool will be fine for value stream mapping. And you really don't need anything complicated. I just use Post-it notes, basically. So you get these folks together. I try to aim for 2 to 3 hours, but I tend to move very quickly because I don't like taking a lot of people's time, and I know that their attention is very scarce and valuable. So I try to take as little time as possible, but getting a value stream map in under 2 hours is extremely challenging. I don't know if I've ever done it before. 2 to 3 hours is pretty good, is pretty great. But the first thing that we do when we map a value stream is working backwards from the customer outcome. We'll identify each of those distinct activities that contribute to delivering value, right? So we lay out all the steps. And this is literally just, okay, what's the start of the process? Then what happens next? Then what happens next? Then what happens after that? And the way that you can make sure that you've got it right is to work forwards and backwards, or backwards and forwards, but I like working forwards and backwards. So you'll start from the beginning, go to the end, and then you go backwards from the customer and say, okay, what happens before this? What makes this happen, right? This customer outcome, how is it delivered? And you could say, well, okay, we turn it on in production. And then you would work backwards from that. How does it get turned on in production? Well, it has to be delivered to the server. It's got to be downloaded to the server. So that's very granular. You probably don't want to get to that level of granularity, but another thing to mention is that you can actually be as detailed as you like, right? You don't want 100 steps in the value stream. You don't want 5. This 6 items is very simplified. It's probably too much, but it's just for illustration purposes. I think a sweet spot is somewhere between 12 and 20 distinct activities. If there's more than 20 distinct activities, then you're probably either too low down in the weeds, or your value stream is too complicated, and you might want to look at trimming it down somehow. But between 12 and 20 activities, you can lay it out fairly well. Hey, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I look at is sometimes if you have too many people involved, the big question that I have is, do they really need to be involved with that? One of the things that I get involved with in terms of an lean agile transformation is basically mapping value streams and developing a composite. What is the operational side of this value stream? What are the steps in there? And what are the interfaces to data systems that they utilize? And are they done properly? Just to go ahead and give you an example. One bank I was looking at, while I was looking at the value stream, I discovered that the data team in IT was delivering raw data, and the operations side was taking this data and putting it in spreadsheets to go ahead and calculate the outcome. And so in that particular case, one of the things I looked at is, okay, we need to go ahead and deliver more than just real data. What we need to know is what information they need and automate that process. One of the things that we're looking at, and the reason why a composite value stream involving data systems and operations has gotten more important, especially with digital transformation.
Yeah, that actually gets to a point that I'm going to touch on a little bit later, is that you can
Sorry, I
really
didn't mean to rush it.
no, you didn't rush it at all. It's a great point that you can really overcomplicate a value stream. And my approach is actually extremely simple compared to a lot of people who will map value streams, and I try to layer on complexity rather than describe it or visualize it by default, because I think that often we don't need a high level of detail to get value from a value stream map, but you can add detail and data wherever it's valuable, wherever you see an appropriate need. So if you're working with a team that's doing let's say a data modeling, or let's say data migration, or transformation, then representing the data would be pretty valuable, right? Understanding what's happening to the data throughout this process can be really interesting and valuable context.
Yeah.
Um, so once you've got all the activities laid out here, what you can then do is understand how long each of these activities take. So and we call this cycle time. So the cycle time is the time that it takes for each individual activity to be performed, which is interesting on its own, but it gets really interesting when you start to calculate the delay time. So you add in the time that it takes between the activities, and this is usually where a lot of the value is. Value in mapping, not value in the value stream. There's actually no value in delays, which is why it's so important to measure it.